I think Dizzy Gillespie was the best musician that I worked with. He was like my mentor, and he was always teaching. So I was with him off and on many years, of his life, and that was an honor because he's the guy. You gotta sing. You gotta make the notes more legato. Like that. Not that's not the way it's supposed to be. Can you try it? Just 1, 2, 3, 4. So much different. The saxophones are the closest thing to a violin. Trumpets and stuff, they don't play like violins. They're the power of the band. The saxophones is the sweetness.
Somebody that was so tied in with music and the music scene and playing in all these things, and with Charlie Parker and Train and all these guys, and it's still about being a good person and helping young people, and that's really cool. I think that's something that's pretty unique about Jimmy Heath. That somebody of his caliber and historical importance is still willing to come out to Tucson for probably not a tremendous amount of money and sit and want to help kids.
Jimmy Heath, he's a really, really nice guy. He's really cool. He's really fun to talk to. And he always had a story that somehow related to what was happening. So if someone wasn't listening, he'd tell us a story about how when he saw one of the masters not listening. And it was super cool to see those, to hear these recounts of events that I would never known have happened because of how specific they are. And it's very, very cool how it applies to us and how we're able to incorporate that and how we're able to realize that even people who are masters had to go through the stuff we're going through.
The most significant part is his willingness to engage with them and connect them to somebody that's so obviously part of the history, and it's not exclusive. It's not like, oh, well, these young kids can never be part of something that we did, in the ghetto 50 years ago. But, you couldn't be further from that. It's just like, well, if you love the music and you're part of it, you can do it. And so that's the most important part of it. But then it's also significant that, he says the things that Doug says, and he plays the way that Bryce plays, and he tells them who to listen to that I tell them who to listen to, and so it's like it reinforces what they're getting and the kinds of things that we've been saying, and gives credibility to that, and it gives credibility to the whole concept because here's someone from the past that's welcoming them into being part of the continuum that he's from.
It's definitely a really singular experience because you see, when you get to talk to somebody or play with somebody like Jimmy Heath, you see a whole history of the music right there in front of you, and a lot of times that history feels kind of distant because you're reading off printed sheet music that was originally not printed. It's been transcribed. It's been played over and over again by different young people and different bands, and it just feels far away. But I mean, having a person like that in front of you makes it feel very close all of a sudden, and especially the way he talked about John Coltrane.
When we were in the hotel in San Francisco, and Train was practicing in the hotel, of course, in his room, and somebody calls on it, hey, tell that guy to stop all that noise with that music, that saxophone up there. Train took the horn out of his mouth and practiced fingering for an hour. He was into a mission of practicing and music every day, all day.
Just working with Jimmy Heath, it allowed us to reach a whole nother level in terms of what it means to be a band, and what it means to work as a unit, and what it means to have this relationship with each other that's just like unbreakable.
I think when you're really getting down to it, you need somebody there, like a Jimmy Heath, or like Bryce in my instance, with saxophone related things. And you just say, well, like, what is Warren Marsh doing on this chord change? And you can't learn that from the YouTube, Somebody, and Bryce learned that from somebody else, and Jimmy Heath learned that from somebody else, and that's the continuum he talks about. And it really, I think no matter what technology does, that will always be existent in jazz, because you need the human connection between two people to learn it and to play it.
Well, once they start playing it, it's sort of built in, because especially at the middle school level, we're wondering, is it okay to be me? Is it okay to be who I am? And you're constantly comparing your actions and your thoughts and your clothes and your behaviors with other kids to make sure that you fit in. Well, jazz is the one music that it is. That's what is okay, for you to be an individual, for you to be who you are. In fact, it's almost a requirement that you're different than the person you're sitting next to, so that you can contribute a unique voice. And I think that's the strength of our country, the differences that we have, the uniqueness of the voices that we bring together, and then we somehow create a collective out of that creates this weft, this strength. And that's what jazz is, that weft of individuality that's woven together to create a strong ensemble.